This video is going to show you how to create a quick assessment. Once in CIITS, hover over Assessment Admin, and you are going to create an express test. So simply click Start Now. Give your test a name. You're going to choose your subject, what grade level it is for. You're going to say what type of test it is. I generally select that it's my classroom test. You want to let it know if you want the unanswered questions to be included in the score or not. I always include them. I generally leave it as a total score rather than a raw score or proficiency score. And then you need to select your standards. And you want to come down here to either the Core Academic Standards 2010 ELA or Math. There are some different options that you can use. I generally leave these exactly how they are. And then I tell it I want to select the standards. By selecting the standards, CIITS will pull out of its question bank any questions that match the standards you've selected. So since I named my test multiplication, I'm going to come down to operations and algebraic thinking, and I'm going to select, each time that I press one of the plus signs, it opens up more menu options. So I want some problems with representing and solving multiplication and division. We're going to interpret the products. Since I just did multiplication, I don't want anything with quotients. Okay, so now that I've selected some of those, I might want some questions here. Over here on the side, you see all these numbers. These tell you how many test question items are within a general category. So for example, multiply and divide within 100 has 106 questions within this standard. Once I have selected which standards I'm going to use, I will add it to my test map. Okay, these are the 4 standards that I selected, and now it tells me how many questions are available. So I'm going to simply do 5, 5, 5, and 5. I'm going to tell it to build my express test. If I didn't like one of these standards, maybe I put it on there by accident, I can click the trash can to get rid of it. CIITS has pulled 20 questions based on the standards that I selected, and now before I do anything else with my test, in this draft stage, I need to look at each question, see if I like it, see if I want to edit the question, maybe get rid of it, change the question for a different one, and just generally make sure that it is appropriate for my students. So I can take a look at each item question. If I click the more, it's going to show me the entire question. Sometimes questions are a little bit long and don't show everything. If I like it, I can just move on to the next one. If I don't like it, I have some different options I can do under this Actions tab. I can edit the question. Maybe I want to change the numbers around. When I click Edit, it's going to pull up the question, and it's going to allow me to click on the question, and I can change my numbers, and I could save it. If you change the question, you just have to remember to change the answer as well. I'm going to put this back to 2 so it doesn't change my answer choices. You can have the answers laid out different ways. You can do 1 column, you can do 2 columns, and you have your different options as far as how the questions will be laid out. This is really nice to prepare your kids for testing where the questions may not all be laid out exactly the same. So this tells you what the correct answer is. If for some reason they would need something, say a ruler, you would be able to enable the tools and manipulatives. Once I have finished changing my question, I simply go back to return to test detail, And now I can continue to check the rest of my questions. Let's say for question number 2, I don't like this question. I can replace it. Once I click replace, it will show me several options of what I could replace it with. So maybe I like this one better because it has the graphics. So I simply click the check mark. Maybe I want to add a couple more. I could add multiple questions, but I'm just going to replace with that one question. So I'll say add items to the test. And now as I preview my test again, you can see that my question number 2 has changed to the one with the spider legs. Let's say with question number 3, I just don't like it. I didn't see any replacements that I liked at all. I can simply remove it from the test. And I no longer have that one, which would reduce my number of questions. Originally started off with 20, and now you can see my questions end at question number 19. If I want to add more items, I simply click this plus sign, and it's going to give me these different options of what I can add. I'm just going to go ahead and return back to my test. And since I added that question, I didn't do anything, I'm going to delete it again. Now that I have all of the questions that I want, I can add instructions, maybe give a word of encouragement to the students, tell them select only one answer for each question, perhaps remind them to try their best on every question, even if they're not 100% sure, go ahead and just give it your best shot. Once I've got everything the way I want it, I can click Ready to Schedule. Once you get to this point, you're not able to go back and change any of the questions, so be sure they're exactly how you want them. It's going to show you what's going to be on the test again. Over on the left-hand side, you're able to make a copy of the test, delete the test, preview the test. I'm going to go ahead and click Schedule. And now I'm going to select my start date, end date, and when I'm going to score it by. I always click this box to prevent students from accessing the results until after the end date. This online passcode is going to be what the students will enter when they go into CIITS. It will ask them for the passcode in order to access this test. Within these options, the ones that I typically check are the ones that they've pre-checked. I also do prevent the students from accessing the test before or after the dates that I've selected. I also like to scramble the question order and the answer choices. That way it prevents students from copying off of each other. And I also say that I only want the students who are assigned the test to take it. Now this is very important. You want to make sure that you always come down here to edit the assignment as far as who is taking the test. It defaults to being everybody in your Infinite Campus for every section that you teach. So in my Infinite Campus, it shows that I teach 16 sections. So it could possibly try to give the same test to the same kids 16 different times. So I'm going to edit the assessment. And you can see these are all the subcategories that I would teach. And I'm going to just select the one group that it's supposed to go to. And it gets this information off of Infinite Campus. I'm going to click Save. I could also have selected individual students that I wanted to give the test to. It's going to show me this once more. You can see now that it says that there's one section instead of the 16 sections. So I'm going to click Save. Okay, now my test is scheduled. The next important thing for you to do is to view your usernames. Now mine's going to show up blank because it is summertime and I don't actually have any students in Infinite Campus right now. But typically this page is going to show all of the students with their usernames and passwords. Their usernames are their school ID numbers, and their passwords are just a unique um, set of numbers and letters that CIITS has provided for them. When you print this out, it will have the online passcode, and you will tell the students what that passcode is. Usually I will just write it on the board so that all the students can see it as they're logging in. After you've printed your usernames, then it is ready for the kids to take the test. Additionally, you're able to print out the student test booklet as a PDF file or a Microsoft Word document. So if you don't want your kids to take it online, you have that nice option as well.